area commonly known as Khatarshnong is a group or cluster of 47 villages. It is located in a remote rugged landscape some 40 odd kilometers from Shillong. To visit any of its villages, one has to get on the Cherrapunji road and on reaching Mawshuit, take a left turn at the marketplace towards Swer village and proceed further on a southeasterly direction. Khatarshnong is relatively still untouched and pristine, with most of the villages dependent on horticulture and organic farming. The mountainous terrain seems inhospitable, but a closer inspection of the area reveals an interesting narrative of communities, culture and a way of life which is rather special. We are on the Khatarshnong road on our way to Nongbah, Mawshuit, one of the bigger villages of the area. Poor road connectivity has been one of the major reasons for the relative isolation of the area, and it was just a few years ago that the Khatarshnong road has been repaired and extended beyond Krang village. Although a lot needs to be done to connect the interior villages by proper motorable roads. On the way we stopped by the Maura viewpoint, a recent initiative to attract tourists by the community stakeholders. The use of the Enrega scheme to build assets in the village is evident in Maura, in the footpaths and bridges that have been constructed. There are two bridges in the tourist spot, one small and completed, the other much bigger but incomplete and probably abandoned as there were major defects in the construction. We moved on to our destination, passing the tiny roadside hamlets before stopping at the public health center at Krang village. A journey of discovery starts at Krang, where we are introduced to an age-old habit of making a kind of herbal tea from a vine called krot. Curious to know more, we stepped into the kitchen of a guide's auntie who showed us how to prepare this drink. What we have here is this indigenous tea, which is called krot, shak krot, and this is made from a root, a creeper rather. And what we see this woman doing now is she's cutting the pieces which will be boiled after some time. This is a kind of herbal tea people in this area drink a lot. The vine is washed properly, clean and dried before slices of the plant are cut and boiled for some time until the liquid becomes red in color, just like tea. The shakrot has been part of the diet of the villagers of Khatarshnong for a very long time. Doesn't have any smell like the strong smell that you get from tea leaves. It's almost tasteless, and cannot detect any taste at all. But apparently when you take this tea, it kind of suits your stomach, and that's why the people decide in this Khatarshnong area regularly take this tea. Much research needs to be done on the benefits of this form of beverage, It's a good start for the day as we drank the liquid and moved on to familiarize ourselves with the organic and rustic way of life that the communities here have been used to. Beyond Krang, the road to Nongbah Mawshuit is narrow and the surface is just loose soil and stones. It is often said that good motorable roads bring development to a place, and I believe it is so, especially for the villages of Khatarshnong, which lack development in many ways.
Kajing duna kalong habon ba kiliang te kabah khamat do imat kade surok hi kabalong ka botlom lane ka thesnam jong kayo kakot namar philayo i dal ki jong ki khamat phiwan chane surok kalong kumne khoru khoram bat de na kane ka jaka jongi kamut ngidon ki mareb ki babon bat ki bahar rukom kamut ki bami isya kita ki yo baper kum hayo sora latip kum kita ki sok Khatarshnong henrei de leng ba kini ki than Khatarshnong jongin chane hi habapet barok kiliang hakiwi ki jaka long mentayo iba kala kiu saprang henrei nak benta jongi Khatarshnong khamtam Nongbah Mawshuit kadang hap hapo katan rai jong Khatal henrei kasak din sak lengo henrei wat kataru ngidon sibon ki jing garen mausa kumban ong nak hakan ni kapol henrei nakali jongi long penpau khmat jopi long ba kijin jal hi katahi kembayo osno nakasu ki kristeri long kasurok namang yo i hakite ki lan surok bape long maki ting long haki kiwi jing tere long nda kata ate da yakin bang kini Khatarshnong chane
maka jingmi ne long kham
oh jawa kede kata
ne pi ka te no ka surok ba kham
tang nakada jong ka surok long
film la ban de ki mar ki mata
ni satu mat ut no satu sekhala tang nakada jong ka surok bom la ban pun poisa surok dan nakata long kelpat long sngoban yo no mo kata ka surok hapo Shnong nang bakine ki marep jongi kin long kita ki ba ya yo la ne ki ban yo ban penbit penbiang po ying po sem ban penrospa ya la ka jong ka long ying long sem hapo ka Shnong hi lu entah.
We have traveled more than 27 kilometers from Mawshuit, and we are on this narrow trail that goes to our destination, a village called Nongbah Mawshuit. We are visiting this village for the first time, and we expect to see a number of things, one of them being root bridges. So we are on our way now, traversing this narrow path. It takes almost half a day to carry the 40 to 50 kilos sack of farm produce on their backs from the fields to the village and up to the station. A proper road leading to the village and up to the orchards and area of cultivation would greatly ease the burden of transporting their crops to be sold outside the village. Their lives are totally dependent on cultivation, and if there are good roads that will save them a lot of time and resources, which are a scarce commodity in these parts. This is another wild vegetable which they call jaboit, and these people in this area, they eat this a lot. And I'll just take a bit and taste it. It's got a sour taste, and it would be a good salad ingredient. Khatarshnong is a treasure trove of rare and medicinal herbs and plants. This visit was turning out to be a valuable lesson in knowing the ecology and ecosystem of a place and the web of social relations amongst the community members. So our guide is trying to communicate with his friends from across within this area, and you can hear them. This is how they communicate in his village.
when you cannot see the person per se, but through this form of communication, which is a kind of uttering, a kind of a song, they can identify one another. So this is the lady who has been communicating with our guide, and she uses the same kind of sound. And this is a unique phenomenon in Khatarshnong area. This, in fact, most of the villages use this form of communication, and this is really a treat to listen to.
As we continued on a journey, we chanced upon an encounter with a woman farmer who was planting sweet potatoes in her patch of purely organic garden.
So what you see here in this sloping hill is a patch of organic farming. And what we see here is, this is yam. This is what they call pandeng, and the roots are eaten. This is jaying, another vegetable. And you have corn as well as maize rather. And she is planting some sweet potatoes. The thing about this patch is that this food is organic and it's very healthy, and people here do this kind of cultivation, and this is very common in Khatarshnong.
It was a slope that had been cleared without doing much damage to the land. This form of cultivation is still being practiced in this area and is a sustainable and eco-friendly one. With the growing demand all over the world for organic food that is devoid of the use of steroids, pesticides and fertilizers, perhaps the Khatarshnong villages can be marketed as the organic food capital of Meghalaya. We looked forward to sample and taste the organic food after the trek to the Ficus Bridge below.
This is what they call in the local language Khatarshnong, and in the Khatarshnong language it's called Shonglai, which means a resting place made from stones. And we have another 2 or 3 of them down there, where the farmers carry the produce like bay leaf, broomstick grass to take it to the market upstairs. And they come here and rest for some time and move on. So the basic understanding that we can gather from these sounds is that they have what they call kasurwat, or a tune where they call out to each other. And right now they're going to demonstrate how they do it. Sangpi. So what they've done is basically he has called him by his tune and he has responded to him by his tune. So it's something that we who do not belong to this area will not understand, but to them this is like second nature. It's a culture here in Khatarshnong area.
The sights and sounds of Nongbah Mawshuit are a revelation, and to experience it much before even entering the village was a bonanza for all of us. The next stop for us was a rare root bridge that was located deep in the river valley below. It was reputed to be the highest root bridge ever to be built in the Khasi Hills. At a height of more than 100 feet from the waters below, it bridged a gorge of more than 30 meters in length.
On our way to the river below, and our guides just showed us another plant, a vegetable rather. They call it hulsheng, and from the flower here, which is the color of turmeric. This, what they do is they cook it with potatoes.
The trail was a slippery one and it slowed us down. The bridge is located far away over the river Wasora, and not too many people use the trail nowadays, thereby resulting in a lot of shrubs and undergrowth, apparently caused by the lack of maintenance. We were careful not to injure ourselves in our descent to the bridge, and after an hour or so, we finally reached our destination. The Jinking Muir, as it was known, was a masterpiece of a ficus bridge. The fact that it was constructed across the deepest chasm of more than 100 odd feet is a testimony of the skills of the indigenous builders of the bridge. It runs parallel to the metal structure of a bridge that had rusted and was broken in many places, rendering it useless. The ficus bridge, on the other hand, was still strong, and the trees on either side looked healthy and robust.
I'm standing in one of the root bridges, and what you can see here is it's one of the highest root bridges here in the Khasi Hills. If you look down, the river is about almost more than 100 feet down below. And the interesting part about this bridge is that this was existing before this iron bridge. This iron bridge, if you look at it now, is not functional anymore, but the root bridge is still functional. So this shows the resilience and the sturdiness of these root bridges in this part of the world.
The ficus trees acted like pylons and carried the roots like cables, which were suspended across the gorge. On both sides of the narrow bridge, the thickened roots were drawn and woven to form a loose railing-like structure. The iron bridge on one side also functioning as a side rail. In spite of the gaps on the sides of the bridge, the architecture was pretty good and stability was ensured. It is a beautiful primeval piece of living architecture in a raw and wild country, and to set foot on this ancient structure was a bonus for all of us. The Jinking Muir Bridge is indeed the highest bridge I have ever encountered in my travels. It is a heritage site and an example of superb native ingenuity. I take a swim in the river pool below to complete the experience of immersing oneself in the pristine and exotic location. To get an accurate perspective of the landscape surrounding the bridge Jinking Muir, one must get a bird's eye view of the gorge and the mountains on both sides of the Wasora River. takes exceptional resilience and toughness of character to tame this extremely difficult terrain. The inhabitants of Khatarshnong are survivors, and they have used almost every nook and corner of this rugged terrain. Betel nut, betel leaf, bay leaf, broom grass, wild pepper and oranges are the major crops cultivated in this area. Hidden from sight is a stunning natural waterscape, a waterfall located deep in the jungle and waiting to be unveiled to the outside world. The Mawshuit waterfall is an amazing sight, but unfortunately today we will not get a closer look at it because it was out of our way. We headed back to Nongbah Mawshuit, climbing all the way up and passing through the sister village of Dewiong on the way. The village of Dewiong, located below Nongbah Mawshuit, is a hamlet of about 40 to 50 households. The village is one of the constituents of Mawshuit. We suspected that the ascent would be a tough and rough one. However, the trail was a well-crafted one that ran along the gradient of the slope and not steep at all. It took us more than an hour to get to the village, a bit tired, but all in good shape. Nongbah Mawshuit is situated on a ridge and surrounded by a lush green landscape. There are some 80 to 90 households which depend on cultivation for their livelihood. The lack of government-aided development, scarce resources and opportunities are drawbacks to improving the livelihood of the villagers. But despite the disadvantages of geography, the community of Nongbah Mawshuit are coping with their circumstances and seem to be happy and most importantly at peace in their village. One gets a sense of the simplicity and organic nature of the village as we walk through the by-lanes. The houses are small and we notice that there are no well-defined boundaries between the houses. The properties merge seamlessly with one another, reflecting the cohesiveness and strong social ties of the inhabitants. It is a community of hard-working men and women who toil in the fields to make ends meet. The lower primary schools cater to the basic education of the children. There are practically no shops in the village, so we were invited for lunch to one of our guides home.
So after that long and tiring trek, which was really nice and invigorating, we have a lunch being served by our host, which consists of a plate of rice. Then we have a soup where you have terso or mustard leaves and pork. This is purely there's no oil in here. Healthy combination. This is jaying. This is called jaying. This is a vegetable which is widely used in this part of the Khasi Hills in Khatarshnong. This is seeds of the jackfruit which has been made into a paste, and these are tree tomatoes. So this is an ideal lunch after a long trek, which will give us back our energy.
To end the day's journey, we were entertained with some fine cultural expressions that have become flesh and blood in the social structure of Nongbah Mawshuit. The Ruwaikan Oi, roughly translated to the lullaby, is a common practice here. The art of naming in the form of a tune for the newborn baby was demonstrated with much grace and finesse by the host and her mother.
Điện rê dia lo với dân đi về mà nữa với rê coi rê ơi cái nhau à
Tadi kecurah dulu, tak supi.
chơi này
So this is something which is quite an experience for us after coming to Nongbah Mawshuit. This is unique, and this visit has been all about experiencing a new culture, a new people, and a new place. Every day in a village tells a story. I hope this one is a good one for all of you watching this.